himself. So, with due respect to many voices, whether it's in the government or outside government, who have pronounced the initiative as dead, I do not buy into that, because for as long as the president remains committed to the initiative, I want to say it remains alive. So let our people take that Tumaini is alive. It has been adjourned. And when the time is right, it will reconvene. And I feel now is the time for it even to be reconvened, so that all these different groups that are fighting, all these groups that have differences and issues, can sit down and address those problems in a peaceful manner.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. The trial of suspended first Vice President Dr. Riek Machar and his co-accused who are facing treason and other serious charges resumed this morning at Freedom Hall for the 7th day of court proceedings. Senior presidential advisor Dut Salva Kiir has called on church leaders to take a firm stand against what she described as demonic powers and divisive politics undermining peace and unity in the country. And police in Western Bahr el Ghazali State have confirmed that 2 female passengers sustained serious gunshot injuries after a commercial vehicle was ambushed along the Wau Tonch Road on Friday evening. This is stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Lasuba Memo, and now the news in detail. The trial of suspended first Vice President Dr. Riek Machar and his co-accused who are facing treason and other serious charges resumed this morning at Freedom Hall for the 7th day of court proceedings. The prosecution is expected to present more evidence today following heated exchanges last Friday over key documents submitted to the court. During the 6th session last week, the special court admitted 3 controversial prosecution documents, including an executive order authorizing Dr. Machar's arrest. The defense team strongly objected to the documents, arguing that the president does not have constitutional powers to issue arrest orders. They accused the prosecution of undermining the principle of separation of powers. However, prosecutors argued that Dr. Machar has no immunity and cited legal provisions that allow the executive branch to authorize arrest in cases involving serious crimes. Other documents admitted by the court include a letter from the National Security Service initiating legal proceedings and a ministerial order establishing an investigation committee. These were also challenged by the defense but upheld by the court. The trial continues amid rising public interest and legal debate over due process and the balance of power among state institutions. The trial continues amid rising. Today's session is being conducted off camera after the presiding restricted recording and live broadcast of proceedings last week. Senior presidential advisor Dut Salva Kiir has called on church leaders to take a firm stand against what she described as demonic powers and divisive politics undermining peace and unity in the country. Speaking at Stone International Church in Juba over the weekend, Dut said spiritual leaders must step up and help guide the nation's moral and spiritual direction. She warned that the country is facing serious challenges which she said require both divine intervention and collective efforts from faith-based leaders.
I want to urge our church leaders to once again take center hold of our society, because we need God as we stand here, as we speak, as we gather today. We are a fragmented society. We're a society that is living in one of the most difficult times. We are dealing with strife, we're dealing with floods, we're dealing with war, we're dealing with divisive politics. We are dealing with demonic powers that are fighting us and trying to keep us at rock bottom. Can we please have the church take center stage and lead us out of this? Because it's through prayer, it's through the acceptance of God that we can find ourselves back as a united society.
Adut also called on church leaders to preach peace, forgiveness, and national unity instead of being involved in political differences. She was accompanied by government officials during her visit to Stone International Church, where they inspected an orphanage run by the church. The orphanage provides shelter and care for orphans and street children. The Director of Traffic has suspended its ongoing crackdown on unlicensed vehicles and traffic violations, citing a significant drop in road accidents and improved compliance by drivers. Traffic Director General John Khan announced the decision on Sunday, stating that the primary objective of the campaign to improve traffic discipline and ensure license renewals has largely been achieved. She said drivers of rickshaws, motorcycles and cars have shown increased commitment to renewing their licenses, contributing to safer roads. As a result, the traffic campaigns that began on Saturday, 4th October have been suspended until further notice. He said,
لهنا وجهات آخر من لأن كل جنوب السودان بلد الآن يعتمد القانون. أول حاجة يا جماعة بدون قانون ما في النظام. أنا وقفت الحملات. أنا لما عملت كده كان ضبط الإشارة، والحمد لله اتضح أنه مواطنين بتاعنا سواقين بتاعنا كل زول اللي عنده موتور بقوا يدوا برامج للإدارة العامة بيرخصوا بيجددوا، وبالتالي كمان الحوادث بتاع مواطن بلد ما في ولا لكشات. فعشان كده أنا وقفت الكلام ده، وأنا داير ناشد أي زول يا أخوانا ما تخلينا نعيد الحملات إلا عند الحاجة. يا جماعة الكلام ده لمصلحة هذا الوطن. القوة بتاع الترافق في الشارع ده لمصلحة المواطنين بتاعه. وأنا كمان بوجه الأفراد بتاعتنا أنه أي زول ما متعاون مع المواطنين في الشارع ده ما هيقعد معنا في الحدود. أنا تركت القوة بتاع الدورانيات والسينيات والمواقع بيشتكل شغل بتاع الترافق العادي في القانون.
General Khan also warned traffic officers that any personnel failing to cooperate with citizens will face disciplinary action. Moving forward, he said the role of traffic officers will be limited to organizing traffic flow within the city and at major intersections. This is iRadio News. A youth representative to the Tumaini Peace Initiative has urged the unity government to expedite the resumption of the South Sudan-Kenya peace talks in Nairobi. Emmanuel Joseph Akila reports.
Patrick Godi, who is also a youth representative to the reconstituted Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Commission, says the talks have been overdue since they were adjourned in February this year. He said it is time for parties to reconvene and conclude the Tumaini peace talks. Godi was speaking on iRadio's Dawn Show today. Tumaini, as much as it has been adjourned for the last 7 or 8 months, we can say the initiative is not dead. Tumaini, it's important to understand that it was an initiative initiated by the president himself. So with due respect to many voices, whether it's in the government or outside government, who have pronounced the initiative as dead, I do not buy into that, because for as long as the president remains committed to the initiative, I want to say it remains alive. So let our people take that Tumaini is alive. It has been adjourned, and when the time is right, it will reconvene. And I feel now is the time for it even to be reconvened, so that all these different groups that are fighting, all these groups that have differences and issues, can sit down and address those problems in a peaceful manner. Last month, the Vice President and Chairperson for the Service Cluster told the United Nations General Assembly in New York that the unity government is considering resuming the Tumaini Peace Initiative. Josephine Lagu Yanga said this is part of the government's effort for lasting peace in the country. She said the government also welcomes facilitation from both regional and international partners. According to Lagu, consolidating peace in South Sudan is not only crucial for its people, but also essential for stability across the Horn of Africa, the Great Lakes region and beyond.
In July 2025, the head of the government delegation declared the Tumaini initiative dead, arguing that the opposition involved in the talks has no case. Senior presidential advisor Kwolmanyang Juk, also leading the government delegation, accused the United People's Alliance of attempting to discard the 2018 revitalized peace agreement. He described the Tumaini proposal, particularly the idea of a leadership council as the highest organ of government, as a coup. Kwol also said that Juba had questioned Nairobi for allegedly allowing the United People's Alliance to form a military wing within Kenya, an issue he cited as contrary to East African community principles. But last month, the deputy chief mediator of the Kenya-led South Sudan peace process said the Tumaini initiative is still alive, contrary to earlier claims by the head of the government delegation. Dr. Muhammad Ali Guyo affirmed the ongoing life of the Tumaini initiative. Dr. Guyo emphasized the initiative's wide backing. Tumaini initiative is also based on a high-level blessing, guidance and leadership in South Sudan, Kenya, the region and beyond. He expressed surprise at Kwol's public declaration, saying the assertion by the leader of the government delegation was not communicated formally, nor was it officially communicated via a formal channel. Dr. Guyo also called on all parties to return to the negotiation table. He said, and I quote, "It's something that the people of South Sudan should take note that it's important to engage with the new protocols, new understanding, and also to focus on the work ahead." End quote. The Nairobi-led peace talks meant to involve opposition factions excluded from the 2018 peace deal have been on hold since February 7th. The government delegation requested the delay to finalize two extended roadmaps, as stated by Dr. Martin Ilia Lumuro, rapporteur for the team. However, no return date was announced. The peace process suffered a major blow when former Petroleum Minister Port Kang, deputy head of the opposition delegation, and other SPLM-IO leaders were arrested following the Nasir incident. The development has halted the implementation of the 2018 revitalized peace accord, further straining the already fragile negotiations. Originally designed to unify fragmented political and military actors, the Tumaini initiative aimed to resolve South Sudan's protracted instability and guide the country toward democracy and lasting peace. Despite setbacks and political disagreements, its mediators insist that the vision and hope it represents is still alive. Reporting for iRadio News, Emmanuel Joseph Akile.
Thanks indeed, Emmanuel Joseph Akile. The mobile court sitting inside Juba Central Prison has adjourned the hearing of a sexual assault case involving a 17-year-old girl in Gumbo Shirika to Thursday, October 9th. The trial of 13 young men accused of sexually assaulting the girl in the same area began on October 1st at the mobile court. The assault, which took place in June, was reportedly recorded and shared on social media. The video sparked public outrage and condemnation from civil society groups, women's rights organizations, and human rights activists. According to a referral letter from the public prosecution, the 13 suspects are facing 4 charges, including acts committed by several persons in furtherance of a common intention, criminal intimidation by anonymous communication, detaining a person for unlawful sexual conduct, and robbery. Speaking to iRadio over the weekend, defense lawyer Josephine Adet said the hearing will resume following Saturday's session, which was cut short due to a power outage while investigators were presenting video evidence.
امبارح كان عملنا جلسة ويوم كان يوم قصير جدا السجون بتاع المتحري وقدمنا هدية اللي هو evidence materials وفضل الفيديو ما قدرنا نكمله لأنه كهرباء كان ما في والزمن كان يوم ضيق جدا يوم السبت حجلنا الجلسة يوم التسعة يوم I think that 9 it fall in يوم الخميس إن شاء الله نكمل القضية بتاع المتحرر وبعدها بنمشي القدام.
Added further stated that the judge delayed the hearing to allow the investigator finish their testimony and for the remaining evidence to be presented. The Commissioner of PG County in Jonglei State is appealing for emergency relief aid for more than 5,000 people displaced by floods in the area. Speaking to iRadio this morning, Suleiman Dengthon said the internally displaced persons are in urgent need of food, shelter and medical supplies. Thon said his office has managed to move the IDPs to a temporary site in Gugjak, but there is a need to relocate them further due to ongoing threat of more flooding. He raised concern over the worsening humanitarian situation and called for immediate intervention to support those affected.
ده على طار وناس بيقوا في على صعب شديد نادر تعبانين شديد بينهم جابوا ودعاء 20 دقيقة ببوت صغير بوت صغير أنا بمشي بالبحر هاي ما بطريقة ما بمشي بالبحر والله خايتو حتى كانوا رفعنا للمنظمة طبعا المنظمة ما بقدر يجيب البوتات المنظمة مع أول بلوغ هذا الموصول بتاع كلام ده ممكن يجيب جاز الميجا البوت ويكون تعمل الكوميونتي المعروف الزراعة المطر كربه كله والله ما في ولا قندول واحد نجا في فيجي ما في النهاية نقدر عفاين يدنوا لربنا والله لأن دعوة للمنظمات الدولية والمنظمات الداخلية عشان يقدر تجيب من مواطنين الكلام المنظمة يقدر يساعدنا بدل ديل أجار ورينا نماميز والمجمعات ويقدر يحسن المنطقة اللي ماشيين فوق زي يقولوا هذا.
The Commission also said the situation of IDPs taking refuge along the banks of the Jonglei Canal has worsened as people are now at risk of snake bites while competing with animals for dry land.
في مواطنين طبعا مواطنين اللي في كنال اللي هو في كنال زار المويه شالهم ودهم وين ودهم فوق ترى هذا الكل وجهه في فوق ترى في ناس قاعدين فوق ترى اساسا ظروفهم تعبان شديد لا في حاجه ان كان واحد يقدر يخطي نفسه المطر فيه واجر كثير بزناد خايف بدي دعوات لربنا عشان ربنا يقدر يجيب معنا هذه الظروف اللي جات في شباب يعني بطال شديد فهذا كلام الموجود برضه.
Before international news, let's move to Western Bahr El Ghazal State, where the police there have confirmed that 2 female passengers sustained serious gunshot injuries after a commercial vehicle was ambushed along the Wautonj Road on Friday evening. According to Major Sentinel Udul Mayen, the state police spokesperson, armed elements allegedly loyal to the SPLA-IO under the command of Major General Bolwek opened fire on a Land Cruiser vehicle traveling from Wau to Juba. Mayan said both victims are currently receiving treatment at Wau Teaching Hospital.
We wish to update the general public on the prevailing security situation in Wau Town and other parts of the state. The overall security situation in Wau Town and across Western Bahr El Ghazal State remains calm and under effective control of the people. However, an isolated incident occurred along the Wau Road where a commercial vehicle traveling from Wau was ambushed and shot at by armed elements loyal to SPLA-IO under the command of Major General Bolwek. That has resulted in injuries to 2 female passengers. One sustained gunshot wound to the back and the other to the right hand finger. Both victims are currently receiving medical treatment at Wau Teaching Hospital. The State Police Command is actively investigating the incident in coordination with the relevant authorities to ensure that.
Despite the attack, the police assured the public that the overall security situation in the area remains stable. Major Mayen urged the public and commercial transport operators to remain calm and continue their regular activities. Efforts to contact SPLA-IO for comment were not immediately successful. This is iRadio News. And now to the international scene. Here's Walma Pal.
Good afternoon, Lasuba Memo, taking you through regional international stories. Let's begin in France, where the Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has resigned less than a day after his cabinet was unveiled. The conditions were not fulfilled for me to carry on as Prime Minister, Lecornu said on Monday morning and criticized the unwillingness by political parties to reach compromises. The LC Palace made the announcement after Lecornu met President Emmanuel Macron for an hour on Monday morning. The shock move comes only 26 days after Lecornu was appointed Prime Minister following the collapse of the previous government of Francois Bayrou. Elsewhere, prosecutors in Australia have filed an appeal against the sentence of mushroom murderer Erin Patterson, saying it was manifestly inadequate. Last month, Patterson, 51, was jailed for life with no chance of release for at least 33 years for murdering 3 relatives and trying to kill another with a toxic mushroom meal. On Monday, the deadline for the appeal, the Department of Public Prosecutions confirmed that it had filed an appeal on the basis that the sentence handed down to Enron Patterson is manifestly inadequate. Patterson's jail term, one of the longest ever handed to a female offender in Australia, means she will be in her 80s before she is able to apply for parole. And finally, a U.S. federal judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration from deploying National Guard troops from Texas and California to Portland, Oregon. The decision late on Sunday comes after the same court denied Trump's attempt to deploy Oregon's own National Guard members to Portland. Portland is the latest Democrat-led city targeted as part of the president's attempt to address what he says is out-of-control crime amid protest over his administration immigration enforcement. Trump has also authorized the deployment of National Guard troops from other states to Chicago in Illinois to address what he says is out-of-control crime. That's all from the Regional International Story with me, Walma Pal. Back to Lesuba Memo.
Thanks, Walma Pal. And now to the world of sports. Here's Darlington Moses.
Thank you so much, Lesuba Memo. In the world of sports, starting with home news in the ongoing South Sudan Premier League. Al Malekia Juba staged a dramatic comeback to defeat Wajuma FC 3-2 in a thrilling encounter packed with end-to-end actions. Wajuma opened the scoring earlier, but Al Malekia equalized before halftime. While Juma regained the lead, only for Al Malekia to show remarkable resilience, scoring twice in the second half to secure all 3 points. In another high-scoring clash, Qatar dominated Bantu City with 5-3 victory in a match that highlighted attacking flair from both sides. Today's fixture: Salam Awil FC vs Koream FC, Jammus vs Lion Hunters. The South Sudan Football Federation has today launched its first ever coach educator assessment course in Juba, marking a significant milestone in the country's football development efforts. The week-long program has brought together 25 coaches from across the nation in a pioneering initiative aimed at strengthening the quality of football coaching and talent development. Opening the session, Mr. Theong John God, chairperson of the South Sudan Football Federation Technical and Development Committee, commended the technical department for spearheading the initiative. In Spanish La Liga, Barcelona missed the chance to return to the top of the La Liga after being thrashed by Sevilla. Needing victory to reclaim the leadership from Real Madrid, the defending champions suffered their worst loss against Sevilla since a 4-0 defeat in 1951. And Ethan Mbappe scored a late equalizer against his former club as Lille held leaders Paris Saint-Germain to a draw in Ligue 1. The 18-year-old was released by PSG in 2024. This summer, his brother Kylian Mbappe left the club for Real Madrid. This is all in the world of sport, and back to you, Lesuba Memo.
Thank you, Darlington Moses. This is iRadio News, and to end this bulletin, here's a recap of the headlines. The trial of suspended first Vice President Dr. Riek Machar and his co-accused, who are facing treason and other serious charges, resumed this morning at Freedom Hall for the 7th day of court proceedings. Senior presidential advisor Dut Salva Kiir has called on church leaders to take a firm stand against what she described as demonic powers and divisive politics undermining peace and unity in the country. And police in Western Bahr El Ghazal state have confirmed that 2 female passengers sustained serious gunshot injuries after a commercial vehicle was ambushed along the Wow Tony Road on Friday evening. That's the end of our radio news. If there's a story or an event you'd like our radio to cover or report about, please send us a text message at +211 925 287870. It's also a WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 2:30. I am Lesuba Memo. Thank you for listening.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio.